Hey Captains, before we get into Doffy versus Zoro matchup, I do just want to give a huge thank you to everyone who made the other tournament one of the biggest live streams that we've done on this channel. Certainly, it was our first event and one of the biggest events that we have, tried to collectively put on between me, my moderator Q from Q's Mod Shop, who did an absolutely fantastic job, as well as Ryan from Black Bear TCG, who did a great job, co-commentating, co-casting with me, and really brought a lot of excellent insight into, the competitive scene of One Piece. Very knowledgeable. If you haven't already, go check out his channel. And then the other thing I wanted to mention is that this video is going to look a little weird because your boy forgot to record. So we're going to hop into the match roughly around like turn 2, turn 3. So if it looks a little strange, if it looks like we jumped into the middle of a match, it's because we did. And also this is round 2 of the tournament because your boy forgot to record. So if you do want to check out round 1, check out the VOD over here. Where you can see the whole entire live stream of the other tournament, as well as check out some of the other matches, as well as side matches that we caught after we did our premiere table. But without further ado, let's hop into the match.
Hopefully be able to get a 7 Warlord of the Sea at the top, so then that way when Doflamingo goes for a swing, he's able to cheat out a character for free.
For sure, and I think this is one of the more technical aspects of playing a Doffy, right? Is whether to bottom deck, top deck things, and then also trying to decide in what order you want to see things in.
Yeah, most definitely. I completely agree, and it definitely is matchup dependent as well, right? For example, if he was going up against green, of course he'd want to be able to see those 7,000 power bodies and have those on top, whereas against red, for example, maybe he wants to be able to get some of those blockers, right? So
For sure.
It'll be interesting to see what he decides to stack.
Yep, and so now it's the Zoro player's turn. Does have 3 Dawn. Hopefully does have something to play. We'll attach 1 onto Zoro and then swing for 6k into leader.
And so I would think Doflamingo would probably take the hit here.
Thinking about it. Does take the hit. No triggers.
Goes down to 4 life. And Vivi comes out. Not too shabby.
And Vivi is actually pretty solid in this. Not really searchable, but at a natural 4k attack, with Zoro does become a viable attacker. And that's kind of the tricky thing about Zoro, is that they can play a lot of these like lower costed, but lower powered characters and still have them be viable.
Yeah, most definitely. So let's see what is going to be planned here. Will we be able to see the 2 Dawn attached to the Doflamingo here? Thinking about it, looks like it is going to be attached, make him 7,000. We'll swing into leader while attacking, reveal the top card, and gets a Dracula Mihawk. So interesting, he stacked the Mihawk to the top instead.
That is an interesting play, because for most people, I think they would want that Mihawk in hand for that 2k counter, but it does have a pretty good when attacking ability as well.
Yeah, that's true. Being able to draw 2, discard 2, kind of dig for the things that you really need to see. So it's not the worst card. And who knows, maybe those were the only other options and didn't really want to send it to the bottom because some of the other cards that he was going to draw into would be really good.
Yeah, for sure. So now it is the Zoro player's turn. Thinking about it a little bit, does attach the 1 Dawn onto leader Zoro and attack with Vivi, who is now a 5k attacker.
Yeah, so
mix into Mihawk.
Yeah, makes sense, because especially with Doflamingo, you really don't want his board to get out of control of just cheating cards out, right? Or else it's a battle of attrition. So I actually really like guarding to save this here. But I mean, investing a 2k counter, now Sanji coming out with Rush.
Man, that is, this is an assault on Mihawk right now. Because, Rush Sanji into it, 6k attack. Does the Doffy player have another counter available? And he does not. Mihawk goes down. Zoro thematically is so ecstatic right now.
Yeah. He's like, okay, I was able to get it off the board. I'm chilling. I'm good. Of course, now Doflamingo, not having any Rush in blue, will only be able to take out one of those cards on the board unless he invests Dawn and Perona to also attack. Be interesting to see if he decides to do that. But if I'm Zoro right now, I'm feeling pretty good.
Yeah, for sure. I think, what is it, 2 life to 4 life right now? And so 2 Dawn does get attached onto Perona.
Wait, I think it should be 4 life to 4 life, right? I think he only took 1 hit. I think his die.
Oh, is his die off?
Yeah, I think his die is off.
Gotcha. Okay. Sorry. Correction.
No, it's all good. It's all good. So it looks like the Perona, he attached on with the Perona like I was talking about in order to swing, but then 2k counter, Sanji discarded from hand. He's going to reveal, so that's why. Very smart, actually. So he knew that he was going to have the Gecko Moria. He stacked it so that way Gecko Moria would be able to pull the Mihawk back to hand. So now he still has the 2k counter in hand, and of course Zoro had to use a decent amount of resources in order to get that off board. And then he just ends the turn by playing a Trafalgar Law blocker. Pretty good play. Pretty good play.
I'm going to be honest. That's kind of devious to know that, you know, your opponent is going to want to attack something that badly if you have the counters for it, and then you know that the Gecko Moria is coming out to bring it to hand where you really ideally do want to see that Mihawk.
Yeah, exactly.
Pretty fantastic, like almost like psychology of the game, right? And I think that's one of the beautiful aspects of One Piece is that there are a lot of mental games that happen, and that is especially true for Doffy.
Yeah, for sure. And again, it's one of those card designs that are just so beautifully made, right? Like doesn't the ability perfectly encapsulate Doflamingo as a character? Like,
yeah,
what an awesome design.
Very very manipulative, very kind of puppeteering. It's actually very cool. So the Zoro player does attach 1 onto his leader, meaning that Zoro's ability is now active. Vivi is now a natural attacker once again, and spacing out the Dawn to try and figure out what they want to see coming, you know, from their hand. Does attack with Vivi for 5k. Not sure quite the target right now, because you could attack the leader or you could attack Gecko Moria.
Yeah, exactly. I would think you'd want to attack the Gecko Moria. Try to get a 1k counter out of hand.
And the counter comes out. Is. Boa blocking in different ways.
Yeah, exactly.
And then that is going to be a 6k attack into another target. Seems like probably Gecko Moria if I had to guess.
Yeah. Of course, he still has a Law to block as well, but going to discard the Mihawk that he just got back from his hand through the Gecko Moria.
Which makes a lot of sense because Gecko Moria, I mean, yes, has done his job by bringing back something, but also is a natural attacker himself. And so for 4, we do bring out OPO1 Brook, which is, I believe, Dawn times 1. You can minus 2k 2 different characters.
Yes, that is correct. And it doesn't see that much play, but I think it's a pretty good tech card to have, especially against when you go against green. I think that's really nice in order to have another reduction when going up against 8 cost Kid. But of course, going up against blue here, and of course, I believe it's 5,000 power, so it's not nothing to ignore as well, because he can just also swing into leader for low investment. Looks like he just plays Sanji here.
Definitely interesting to play to Sanji here, but probably wants to commit that Dawn now versus potentially later, meaning that if I had to guess, right, might be telegraphing that there's a bigger character in play that they want to play next turn.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's what separates like the skill levels of Zoro players. Some people just like want to play 3-cost Zoro, attack right away, play Sanji, attack right away. Sometimes it's okay to just like load up your board because you're going to be able to attack with them anyways next turn, specifically when you're facing against blue, right? Like blue doesn't have anything like a Okiku or a Nico Robin where you're in threat of this Sanji dying, right? I'm sure it can be bounced back to hand maybe with the Marshall D Teach, but that's absolute worst case scenario in which you could just play it again and then it still has Rush. So it's actually not too bad of a play in order to play Sanji here.
Yeah, for sure. And I think you hit the nail on the head. It's like against blue, I think red plays a little bit more free. It's just really worrying about like the, you know, the counter attack that I think they would have to worry about.
So looks like Otama here is discarded, 2k counter.
You know, protecting against that Perona swing, which swung in for what about 4 or 5k?
Yeah.
What Perona's base?
Yeah, Perona's base I believe is 2k, so I believe that would bring her up to 4k to swing into the Vivi. Now, what I'm thinking is to discard the Otama. What other cards would he have in hand that like? Because that's again a very valuable card to discard.
Yeah, for sure. I do wonder though, is it as valuable in the blue matchup as it is the green matchup, right?
True. Good point. So one Dawn gets attached to Gecko Moria to make it 6k, attacking into the Vivi. So that gets KO'd.
Yeah, it seems like both players are pretty content with just trying to gain control of board right now. and does attach 1 onto Doffy.
Yep. Decides to take the hit here.
No trigger for red.
Oh, and there's a Martial D Teach that we just discussed. It's going to be tapping 4. And we'll be able to bounce 1. I would bounce the Brook here. Or actually, wait, can he? Because it's 3 or lower, so he can't actually. Brook is 4 cost.
And so he just did what you were just talking about, which is, you know, bouncing the Sanji back to hand. But, I mean, the value of Sanji is to potentially gain that rush. You know, maybe it's a detriment to the Zoro players' plans initially for this turn. But honestly, not the worst to have another rusher in hand.
Yeah. This now the turn passes back. I would start getting scared next turn, just because obviously we're gonna be able to see some big threats, potentially being the 9 cost. Mihawk, I believe, will be coming up relatively soon, as well as Doflamingo, 7 cost. So
yeah. So the Zoro player has separated out 5 Dawn. Which, for those of you who know Red, that is definitely within range of a Rush Luffy. Curious to see what will happen here. Does attach 1 onto Zoro, making Zoro's ability active.
Now, if you're the Zoro player, are you thinking you want to clear the board here?
Potentially. I mean, I try and get rid of that Gecko Moria, probably.
Yeah.
But Doffy does have a blocker available, so could be curious. I'm not too concerned about Martial D Teach right now, just because it's a natural 4K, and then Perona he does need to add additional resources onto, which honestly kind of helps me. But Gecko Moria is a problem, so probably try and focus that first, and then hit leader, especially if like they can get a little bit more aggression with a potential rush card like Rush Luffy or Rush Zoro.
So the Trafalgar Law does get used as the blocker here, and then now just attacking with the Zoro. So I'm assuming he minused the Gecko Moria, so that's a guaranteed kill now. So like you said, he was able to deal with the Gecko Moria here, and still has a ton of Dawn. Can maybe look to play Zoro here and then continue to get board control, or let's see, or even the Sanji, right?
Yep, Sanji can come back, and now it can attach 2 active Dawn, which he didn't have last turn, to give Sanji rush, and makes it a 6k attacker. And this one is probably going to go... Oh, it goes into Perona.
I think that's a really good play, because especially with Doffy, like, you need to be able to control the board. So I think that this is really good, because then now all he has is just his Martial D Teach. Ooh, and he gets a Nico Robin to end it. That's really nice.
Yeah, and Nico Robin is an absolute all-star in either deck, whether it's Rush Zoro, Rush Luffy. I mean, you know, just the Luffy and Zoro leaders, just because it does a lot more board control than you can anticipate. And yeah, Doffy probably is trying to look for a way to potentially get rid of it, but there's a lot of natural attackers that will be coming at him next turn.
Okay.
Off the hand, 4 cards in hand for the Red Zoro player.
Yep. And it looks like Doffy should have access to all of his Dawn now, right? I believe he's at 10. So, and here's the thing that's difficult, right? Because even when you do have the 9 cost Mihawk, you start thinking like, okay, I want to get value off it, right? I want to be able to spin something big back to the bottom of the deck so I get value. But when you're facing Zoro, the only really big body that you really have to worry about that you can spin is the Rush Luffy. And when that's not on board, you kind of feel bad playing Mihawk otherwise. So looks like even if he does have it, we don't know if he does or not, he's just going to attach 2 Dawn to the Martial D Teach. It becomes 6k and attack into the Sanji.
Yeah, I think that attack makes a lot of sense, and you're right. You know, you're not going to get the same value from the Mihawk that you would otherwise. So I think it's wise to spread out the Dawn and kind of, you know, be a little bit more aggressive into the opponent's board.
Ooh, hits the Gecko Moria here. Very nice.
I forget, did he like scry for that and rearrange it, or is that just off the...
I think this is blind. Yeah.
Wow, that is some good luck, and I do believe that the 2K Mihawk was used, but I'm curious to see what they're going to pull out.
Yeah, I wonder if he pulls back Law. Yeah, okay.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, because like you kind of do want to value it more. Of course, obviously, like Zoro's probably playing Diablo John, but I think Law is really good here. Now the thing is that Nico Robin could just KO it next turn, right?
That's true. Yeah, just attach 1 Dawn onto it. So 2 blockers though, however, bigger problem.
Yeah.
So
pull a Hancock.
Boa Hancock goes onto the field and does pass the turn. Now it's the Rush Zoro player's turn. Does have full 10 Dawn available. So curious to see what will happen here. Is losing in life, but only by 1, which honestly is a pretty good position to be in.
Yeah, most definitely. I think being able to have Nico Robin here to kind of control the board here definitely will be able to get rid of the Trafalgar Law. I wonder if he's going to maybe swing into the Gecko Moria or the Marshall D. Teach to get 2 characters off board with just 1 from the Nico Robin. Because, again, I feel like you have to control the board because next turn it's going to get really dangerous, right? Boa Hancock is going to be able to allow him to draw cards. We still don't know what else he has in his hand, right? Like, I do feel like there's a 9-cost Mihawk or Doflamingo chilling in his hand right now too. So once that hits the board, things are just going to continue to get scary. So looks like he's going to tap 1 for the Nami, going to be able to search.
Nice, and this could give him, some of the potential win cons that he might be looking for here, right? But I do agree. I think there's something hiding in the Doffy player's hand that is intended for a Rush Luffy.
Yeah.
But he does grab the Rush Zoro from the Nami Scry, which will go to hand, which means that there's some added level of aggression. The Zoro player does have some gas.
Yeah, most definitely.
All gas, no brakes.
Now, it's tough because like I'm just trying to think like if I was in the shoes of like the Zoro player, how I would want to play this because. Okay, yeah, so he's going to attach 1 to the Nico Robin. So Nico Robin's going to be 5k at the moment. Did not attach it on to Zoro as of yet, but we'd expect he would. Because then by doing that, Nico Robin is 6k, and then probably Nico Robin would attack the Marshall D. Teach.
Or the Gecko Moria.
Yeah.
It's been a jet pistol, and
for the Boa Hancock here. Yep.
That makes a lot of sense. Getting rid of the 1 blocker that was probably going to be a problem. Does attack with Nico Robin, probably targeting. Yep, the 1-cost blocker Law, and so swing into.
I think I would go Marshall D. Teacher just because Nico Robin's 6k, right? And like he would have to invest 2 cards in order to stop it.
That's fair. And taking as many cards out of hand as possible, probably in the best interest for the Zoro player.
Yeah, agreed.
Because I can't quite tell with the sleeves, but it looks like there's about 3 or 4 in hand.
Yeah, I think 3?
Oh.
Yeah.
Marshall D. Teach does go down.
Pretty good play, honestly, from Zoro. And he still has 3 Dawn chilling. We know he has a Zoro in hand. Does he want to be that aggressive?
Right, or is he going to save it? I probably...
Okay, 2 for Brook.
Interesting.
Oh, he's going to attach 2 rested to Nami.
But didn't Nami just get played this turn?
Yeah, I thought he used Nami to search, right? Unless I'm forgetting.
I think so. And I think he's realizing that now.
Yeah. I mean, it still works because he'll still be able to kill the Gecko Moria, but yeah, good catch there. I'm glad that they were able to realize that as well.
Yeah, for sure. And you know, some of the things like about like playing in like stream, like webcam tournaments or any tournaments really is that sometimes like no matter how practiced you are, you will forget some like things that happen. I mean, that's just a natural thing about competition, right? But glad that they're able to catch that.
Yeah, exactly. And of course, there's no malicious intent. Like, and that's the point of playing. And we're all practicing, we're all learning, right? So no one's trying to do anything intentionally. And as long as it's it's called out and the player tracks it back, it's all good.
Yeah, for sure. So it is the Doffy player's turn.
So let's see what he wants to do here. So the reason why playing that Brook isn't the absolute worst is because Brook can also be an attacker now. Everything is an attacker with Zoro. But it looks like Perona's going to come out using that box topper Perona. Nice, looking clean.
We do love an alt art.
Yeah, exactly. Looking at the top 5 here. So I wonder, is he going to try to stack it so that way he can get another 7 Warlord on the board? Or is he going to try to like fish for counters here? Because I kind of feel like he's going to be very quickly on the defensive end now. I feel like now Zoro is in prime position to start shaving off some life.
I think, and I can't remember, so Nico Robin is a 3-cost, so if there is a Marshall D. Teach in there and he's able to bring that out, he would be able to bounce Nico Robin back, which, you know, doesn't have Rush, so it's a pretty good target for that. Because it's also only a 1k counter versus the Brook, who's a 2k.
Yep, yep.
But I guess we'll have to see what was able to be stacked.
Yeah.
Also, I am hearing notifications going through the stream, however, it's not showing up on my screen. So thank you to anyone who has subbed or joined the membership. I really appreciate it. We'll have to do a recap once we do everything. So yeah, Doffy does add 3 Dawn onto him. Oh,
gets the Gecko Moria. Getting all the Gecko Morias today. Now, does he get a 2k counter? I think maybe he would get the Mihawk here.
Unless a lot... Oh, there we go. Okay. I'm going to trust
like
the best
you said,
judgment.
Nico Robin dies here.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. Oh, the
Virgo?
big turn.
Virgo, nice. Okay, that's actually really, really nice for Doflamingo now.
Yeah, I mean, Virgo is a very solid card. A big body, even though it's vanilla, I mean, it can do some real damage, especially in this first set, OPO1, Romance Dawn. But now it is a Zoro player's turn. Is going to attach 1 for safety onto the leader, making Brook, I believe that Brook is a 4k attack? I can't quite remember.
I think it's 3k.
Is it 3k? Okay, so it does still need 1 to make it a viable attacker. Does put the Dawn onto it, making it 5k currently, and swings into, I mean, either Gecko Moria or Doffy, but
yeah,
I think at this point, yep,
ooh,
okay, 2k counter
2K
onto
counter.
it.
Yep.
Must mean that he doesn't have a whole lot of counters in hand.
Yeah, and so because of that, that's very smart to just attach with the Nami and just swing again, because now it's gonna die, or he has to use another counter, and he probably just has another 2k counter, and he has no counter. So,
right. I mean, I think regardless, like, yep, okay, Gecko Moria does go down. Very advantageous, I can speak, position for the Zoro player, especially with the life total still being at 3 and 4. Does swing in with 6k attack into the only viable target would be leader Doffy. Now Doffy deciding if it's time to counter or not, and we'll actually just take the hit.
Yes, we finally get damage on board again. We haven't seen that for quite some bit. And ooh, your boy's on the board.
Rush Luffy with the 1, so it can still be blocked, but luckily Doffy doesn't have any blockers. This is going to be a 6, 7, 8k attack into leader. Once again, has to take the hit. No trigger, it seems. Now it's down to 2, and Zoro has taken the life lead.
Yeah, so now it'll be interesting to see if Doffy decides to bring out the big guns. The thing is that now, given the game state, even if he was to bring out the Mihawk, right, he's going to have to use 9 Dawn, meaning that he'll only have 1 Dawn active, and so he'll just be a prime target to lose next turn. It's a really tough spot to play that Mihawk now. So even if he has 7 cost Doflamingo, then that could also just spin back the Luffy, but then he could just play the Luffy again and it has Rush. Yeah. So let's see what ends up happening.
Yeah, although very smart attack here, using the Perona to take out a very weak Nami.
So Virgo attacking Brook.
I think at this point, though, you can safely play the Mihawk, but Doffy does swing into Zoro player's life. Does take the hit.
So evened out now, 2 life apiece.
Oh,
there it is. So there's the Mihawk, like you said. So it's going to be able to spin that back to the bottom of the deck. So very nice board control here.
And I think that really only, is a thing because he played the Virgo last turn.
Yes.
And so in terms of board state, the Doffy player has actually kind of swapped it, right? Where Zoro was looking very menacing, but now all of a sudden, Doffy has 2 huge bodies and a blocker. And so Zoro player is now up with all 10 Dawn available. Trying to figure it out because he only has 2 life, and there's at least 3 viable attacks. If anything, you need to find a way to get rid of the Virgo, or I mean, you need 2 answers to the Virgo essentially because he does have a blocker law.
Yeah.
Or I don't know. I was gonna say or win, but.
Oh, I thought Shanks was coming because I seen him move 9 Dawn to the side, so I was like, oh.
He's bluffed everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm curious. I think You almost have to go for... This is a tough spot for the Zoro player.
It is. I know, me too. Because I'm also thinking, like, huh, what would I do here? But it's tough, right? Like, this is a hard board to face down right now.
So 6k, so it can't be going to Virgo. It must be hitting leader.
Yeah.
And does have the counter. Can't quite see what that is, but I assume
that's
it has
Mr.
to be
2
2K.
Bon Clay.
Yeah.
2K counter.
Does have 3 cards in hand. Yeah, this is a tough spot because I think next turn, unless he puts down a blocker or 2, this could potentially be game, especially with only 4 cards in hand. So he does tap 4, or 1, 2, 3...
4, 5. Yeah, there's another one right under the first one there. It looks
Gotcha,
like.
gotcha. Oh yeah, I see the corner of it right there.
Yeah.
So for 5, does play. Oh my god! This is the buffest Rush Luffy we've ever seen. I imagine that has to be hitting into Virgo.
Yeah, I would think because he wants to get the guaranteed board control, and like we've seen the Virgo cause problems last turn, but like now obviously the Luffy could just die compared to the Mihawk's power, but.
Yeah, I mean,
I think it was a play he had to go for, right?
Yeah, and that is going to be one less attack into their life. So could potentially, you know, give them another turn to kind of figure out what to play next turn. Also, Derek, thank you so much for the sub. Really appreciate it. But I mean, Doffy has choices here. Doffy has answers.
And let's talk about this Perona doing work. Did her job and like just still continuously just attacking. He's attaching 3 Dawn here. He hasn't declared an attack yet, but looks like he's doing it now. And Perona's just an enigma at this point, just constantly attacking. It's something you want to leave up because you're like, oh, it's just 2k, but it just continuously gets attacks. And here, getting a 1k counter out of hand.
Yeah, it does make sense to attack with Perona because that is another viable attack, and especially if they don't need their Dawn for anything, right? I mean, they already have their Mihawk on the field, unless you're going to Mihawk again, right? But other than that, not too concerned about the Dawn usage. Does attack with Doffy into a leader has to be because there's no Dawn attached.
Yeah, and I actually like this, right? You know that there's only 3 cards in hand, and with only 5k, is he really going to discard and go down to 2 cards in hand? So he decides not to, takes a hit, so he's now only down to 1 life. Now it'll be interesting to see if he hard commits here and swings with Mihawk to get him into lethal threshold for next turn, or if he decides to play it safe and maybe play some blockers, because he has a ton of Dawn, right? Like, you can play Boa Hancock, you can play Kuma. Let's see what he decides to do.
Yeah, it will all depend on what's in hand, because he has to be pretty confident that he'll survive the next turn.
Exactly.
Looks like he's committing a lot of... Oh my gosh!
Oh, he's going for it!
He's going for it!
He's going for it! Wait, hold on, he's swinging with the log!
Oh my god. And does get
What a mad lad!
This man must be confident of what's in his hand.
He has to have another blocker in hand, right? He has to. That's the only way he makes that play. Yeah.
I mean, unless like he runs blocker starter Boa Hancock, right? That's the
third could.
Okay. I mean, the thing is, he has to attack the Luffy at this point.
Luffy, right? Yeah, I agree. He has to now.
Okay. Everything makes sense in the world. Man, throwing us off by attaching it to the blocker law does leave 2 up, does have 3 cards. I think this is a telegraphed Love Beam. Which is probably why he's so confident that he can survive.
Yeah.
And really, I mean, in terms of like clearing the board, you only, are concerned about blocker law, who's a 1k, and then a 2k Perona. Like next turn, 1 life, if both swings can get in there.
Yeah.
Does attack 7k into probably leader.
I think here at this point, I think it's almost like, because does the Zoro player have 3 or 4 cards in hand?
Looks like 4 cards in hand. So I believe that is, the love mellow, if my eyes do not deceive me.
Yep. So he's able to draw 1 here because he has 3 or less cards in hand. And so this is why it's dangerous now, because if the Zoro player has 4 cards in his hand, right? Like, even if they have Rush and he's able to take 2 cards out, like, if he has no blocker, he loses next turn, right? Like, just doing the math, Doflamingo being able to attach a bunch of Dawn, if he attaches 5 Dawn to Doflamingo, swings, and then attaches the rest to Mihawk, he just wins. So Zoro's in a really tough spot here.
Yep. Alright, so we do see 3 Dawn being used for Rush Zoro. is going to attach the whole kit and caboodle onto him. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 plus 5. That is 10k Rush Zoro coming at his mentor. And
Mr. Tubonkle.
the mentor survive. Oh, wait. Well, yeah, I guess we'll see what happens.
Because it's +1 from the Zoro, right? So he's going to need... Yep. Yeah, and he has it. So I believe that's the game.
Yeah, the mentor Mihawk versus Zoro matchup. Mihawk does win that one.
Not quite strong enough yet for the student to take down the master, but yeah, I believe that this one's going to be over. 3 cards in hand, even if they were all 2k counters. Zoro can only get up to 11k, so very easily could just attach the Don to Doffy, swing, and then attach the Don to Mihawk and close it out.
Yeah, and there's no active Don available for Zoro, so I think Doffy can swing free here.
Yeah. I think he needs to attach, if he wants a guaranteed win, he needs to attach 6 to Doflamingo. But it looks like he's going to attach... Oh, he's going to suit. He's going to go wide. So he doesn't want to go high. He wants to go wide. So I guess he just wants to get the cards out of hand, which is also very smart.
Okay, well, there's one counter gone, right?
Yep.
And I believe that's the promo Beppo. So
yes.
I think that might be a 2k counter.
It is. Yep, 2k counter.
Which is kind of wild, because I think that's only, what, 5k Perona?
Yeah, exactly. So that's very telling of what else is in his hand, right?
Ooh, okay, interesting. I mean, you can still attack with the leader
that's
or the law blocker, right? Yeah, we'll see what happens, but there's a Mihawk incoming.
Yeah, he just dumps everything on Mihawk here, right? I would assume, because then Mihawk becomes what, 16k? There's no way he can counter 16k with 3 cards in hand.
Yeah, absolutely no way. So, yep, and here it is. Yeah. Dawn just being flooded. All the hockey going into Mihawk's blade. And the boat has been slashed. Yep. That is game. GG's to the Doffy player.
Hey man, I love to see blue pop off. You know me with my blue bias. Very, very good piloting on the side of Doffy. I really like it because, one, I really like to see him playing the Mr. Tubonkle. I feel like a lot of people don't play it. It's a lot of people will be like, oh, blue doesn't have that many 2k counters, and they forget about Mr. Tubonkle. Blue actually has a lot of 2k counters, so I like to see that. But then also I like to see the angle in which he kind of control the board, right? I was a little bit worried, but then you also made the good call about him controlling the board and then safely playing the 9-cost Mihawk to spin back the Luffy, right? Which was I think that play is what like switched the momentum and really put it in his favor.